Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic Less Known Classics. This is episode number 2419 and episode number 2313. We're discussing the last set of issues which I have the Epic Collection right here that came out in the 1980s to discuss, and also we're discussing a set of Thor issues which are collected in trade too, which I have that trade as well. First we have is Avengers Epic Collection, Volume 25, The Gathering, which collects issues 367, 377, and 23, X-Men Volume 2, number 26, Avengers West Coast, Volume 2, number 101, Uncanny X-Men 307, and Avengers Log. I'm not discussing the X-Men and West Coast Avengers issue and Uncanny X-Men because that's the Blood Ties crossover. I want to first discuss here Avengers Log. Now, I am so happy to put this in trade because let me tell you history about this particular book and me. This book got me into Avengers. Yes, it did. It certainly did. And this gave me like a rundown of Avengers history. Like, it got me so interested in reading Avengers comics. This one shot, Avengers Log, it is absolutely amazing. Let me show the cover here. And this actually was another comic I did own, but I misplaced it at some point. But yeah, here's the Avengers Log. Yes, I actually own this thing. This thing was absolutely amazing. This gave me a rundown of Avengers history. Like, this is something that Marvel should do more often, to do these comics. To get people interested in reading older stuff. And this book was absolutely fantastic. I love this thing. It talks about, like, detail stuff about the Avengers. I read this one shot 10 times. This one shot was so amazing that it got me like, I've got to read these Avenger comics. And I did. And I've read like all the issues released. And now, of course, I'm going to be soon finishing up the extra issues. But this book was absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh. It was so wonderful. And thank you, Marv, for putting in the Epic Collections. Yep. Alright. But I had to talk about that first because this book, it is just basically an abridged. It's sort of a read. It's basically a basically history of the Avengers from the Marvel debut in 1960 up until the 1990s, which is fantastic. I loved it. Your writing in these issues is done by Bob Harris, David Caesar, Roy Thomas, Scott Lobdell, Glenn Harding, Joe Cavallari, Peter Sanderson, Ben Rabb, Al Milgram. Roy Thomas does the Avengers West Coast issue. Yep. I think Lobdell does the Uncanny X-Men. And I think X-Men as well. Artwork is done by Jim Hall, Dave Epstein, Adam Kubert, Dave Ross, John Romita Jr., Jeff Isherwood, Mike Gosfish, John Bushma, Grant Meeham, Jan Derishma, Yancey Lambat, and Al Milgram. This book covered a time period of October 1993, and we conclude in June 1994. And these are the last issues discussed because the issues coming in before and after this, they're all done. Yep. So the opening issue is a standalone issue. It's all about celebrating 30 years of the Avengers, which you gotta love this cover, and I love this time period of Avengers because I love reading these comics. Yeah, I'm also focused on the Vision. This whole issue is focused on the Vision, where he's like attacked, and of course, well, he's actually in a danger room. So basically, you have him just witnessing stuff. It's a great standalone issue. Just a day in the life of the Vision. Yep, we have stuff with Luna, so awesome here. We also have Deathcry here as well. We also have her making out with Vision, of course, after he gets divorced. So of course, he's single. So yeah, it's just so fun. I love this one shot, and then after that, we have the 4-part Blood Ties storyline, which I have discussed this already, so I'm not going to discuss it again. So I am skipping over this really good story arc here, which here's kind of the sad thing about Blood Ties. Did you know Blood Ties is a prelude to Onslaught? Yes, seriously, it's a prelude to Onslaught. Yeah. And sadly put, at the conclusion of this crossover, Uncanny X Avengers basically survived this book no problem. But sadly, put the very next issue after this crossover wrapped up, Avengers West Coast ended with the very next issue, and was relaunched as Force Works immediately right afterwards. Yep. So when they finally get past here, we'll discuss more of the issues. Now, starting with issue 370. Of course, this book ends with 375. This begins a multi-part story arc where basically it's all about Cersei. We begin with, I think it's Cersei falling from a ceiling room, and she's she's in some place here, and a bunch of like stuff going on here, and meet up with look like the other things going on here. And is it just me, or is that basically now? Here's something that I kind of liked here. Crystal is drawn to be very sexy here. Yeah, the artist of this issue, who is Jeff Isherwood, he draws the women to be so sexy, and it's like, wow, they're so attractive. Yep. So, a brawl going on here, and really interesting issue to start out this storyline here. And then this weird page here where you have this guy with his blonde girlfriend goes off. And then they have another blonde guy talking to a woman with black hair. Then the guy kisses the one with black hair. Then, of course, the blonde hair kisses the guy with orange hair while he's holding a knife. It's really... it turns out this whole thing is a really weird thing here. Red Bull, just... Yeah. Yeah, this is basically just dealing with the gladiator stuff. It's a pretty fun set of issues. It's weird, but it's fun. I kind of enjoyed it. Yeah, then I think it kind of wraps up with issue 373 because this kind of begins a very weird, basically I think I've wrapped up with 371. Then 372, this is the multi-issue story arc basically with Cersei, where you have this guy walking through, I think it's Black Knight. Avengers getting back from their mission for the previous couple issues. Everyone's a hunky-dory. You have Crystal with Quicksilver here. And of course, he asks her basically if she's a Black Knight, and she says yes. Meanwhile, Cersei is basically on her own. We have, looks like Hank Pym is dealing with other stuff. You have Cersei with Black Knight, which Black Knight is dressed like this because it's 1990s. Hercules, whose hair is clean shaven, and he's not wearing the Jack Kirby attire anymore because it's 90s. And then we have, here's something really weird though. Apparently, the way Black Knight is colored here, his eyes are red. Yeah, this whole story is like, kiss. And then the Gatherers show up. Yeah, they start a brawl with them. And they get back to the Avengers Mansion. What the heck is telling the Gatherers show up? And then, of course, the detective is there and says, Cersei, you're under arrest for murder. And you think, the very next issue, we're going to pick up where we left off. Nope. We just have Quicksilver, Crystal, and Luna are at Avengers Mansion where it's in ruins. You're wondering what the heck is going on here. And they do have a flashback of what the heck explained here. Yeah, so they explained that Cersei was very unhappy with the fact she was accused of murder. Yeah, so we have stuff here with the Watcher, and of course, basically, Cersei is sort of kind of manipulating Black Knight here for some reason. Yeah, so Black Knight's working with her, and then you think, what did they finally explain? Like, what the heck happened? Like, is there a point in this issue where they do explain, like, what happened? Well, if you're really curious, do we pick up where we left off at the end of the previous issue? Nope, we don't. For some reason, that is saved for the very next issue. In a flashback. Yep. Then Truth Revealed in 74. So, yeah, of course, Thunder Strike is here. We wonder what the heck going on, and then we did more with the Gatherers here. So, and of course, basically, then we have Tech to basically, mention, and Sprite checks out basically the guy who was supposedly killed by Cersei. He's like, nope, Cersei did not kill this guy. How? The energy doesn't match. And also, they're not dead. They're frozen. Yeah. And of course, she thinks there's no accused of being murder. And it turns out it was actually this guy from The Gatherers who basically did it. Really interesting storyline here. I don't like the fact they did this whole thing of like misdirecting people, and of course, love this 2-page cover spread for the Gatefold cover for 275, which great to use that for that one. And we kind of conclude this whole Gatherer story with 275. Yeah, really fun set of issues. I kind of enjoy them. Yeah, we have this more backup stuff here with Versa with Hank Pym. And then we have the annual 23. And you might be curious about this. Was this the last annual for this book? Published before the book relaunched? Well, yes, it was the last annual published for 4 years. Yep, this was the last one. Next annual come out to 4 years later, where it was teamed up with the Squadron Supreme and annual 99, 2000, 2001. All done. Well, let's see. The 98 annual was Kurt Busiek and Lynn Kamensky. 99 was Kurt Busiek and John Francis Moore. 2000 was Kurt Busiek. And the final annual, 01, was done by Kurt Busiek. Yeah. And the whole thing, Titan one more. It's basically, yeah, this Titan on the cover here is, believe it or not, it is Hades, who's also known as Pluto. Yeah. Yeah, it's basically, think of the Avengers versus, like, some evil gods for the first story. And then, like, the backup story is basically Vision and Giant Man, who's Hank Pym, dealing with a guy called Glitch, who appears as one issue here. And we have this guy called Typhoon, who appears in this issue. He last appeared back in issue 50 of Avengers, back in 1968. Yeah, that's actually the character cover is Typhoon. So, yeah. So, I guess part of the 30th anniversary, bring back this guy for the annual. Yep. But the annual itself is so good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. And that sadly put us at the end of the 90s for the Avengers. Yep. Oh, we're not done yet? Oh, no. Next up we have is Avengers Disassembled, the Invincible Iron Man, the Mighty Thor, and Captain America. Now, of these characters, we have 4 books in here. We have Captain America, Volume 4, 29 to 34. Iron Man, 84 to 89. Let's see. It is also, I think it's like, Captain America and Iron Man, I think it was like 13 and 14. And as for Thor, it's 80 to 85. Now, these issues are not done by Dan Jurgens. Now, I'm discussing this because I have it here, and I just want to get this out of the way and so I can focus on Dan Jurgens issues. Written by Michael Aveling and Daniel Berman and art by Andrea DeVito. This story, despite the fact it's tied to Disassembled, it has nothing much to do with Disassembled. It's basically Ragnarok, and these issues are so good. Who would have thunk, though, a tie-in to one of the most controversial Avengers storylines today, Disassembled, would be really good. Because it has nothing to do with Disassembled. It's basically all to do with Ragnarok. Yeah, and it's a 6-part story. And it's all focused on Thor, with of course guest appearance by Iron Man and Captain America. Loki gets beheaded in the storyline, and by the end of it, Thor initiates Ragnarok, and this would be sadly put his last appearance for 3 years. But this storyline is pure epic gold. It is fantastic. And in my honest opinion, along with the Fantastic Four tie-in. Now, if you want to think of the weakest tie-in, it's probably Spectacular. That one's pretty weak. But it's got good artwork. Yeah, all the books have good artwork. So it's interesting put in the case of the tie-in for Iron Man. That one this is really weird, like the part of the storyline is like prelude to Disassembled. And then like this of it is like the aftermath. And also, it feels as though with that one, like in the case, this is basically like it feels as though we're just trying to wrap up the book up. And also, Tony Stark's girlfriend he was dating throughout the entire book got killed off of that storyline. Caps kind of feel like definitely kind of a little bit of a tie-in to Disassembled. If we think about it, the tie-ins are just standalone books, just have Disassembled banner on it. But this storyline was just epic, really good. I give the Thor Disassembled issues, Thor Volume 2 issues 885, a 10 out of 10. Yep. So yeah, that's it, particular review. Next up is going to be Bleach. And then 2 comic corners. Okay, next video.